Well, hello and welcome everyone to Reconnect Now, No More Waiting. And today we have Lesia Kohut, and she's just, I gotta say, I've met her and she's a hoot. I'm having a blast getting to know her, and it's just lovely. I'm gonna read my little bio here for her, and some of the things she has in her bio just make me smile. So I'm gonna read a little more than normal. Lesia revels in embodying her why to empower the conscious awakening of humanity so that together we can cultivate a global community founded in love. I just think that that's just fabulous. I mean, it's just a beautiful mission, really, you know. Lesia is a licensed spiritual practitioner and integrative nutritional health coach. And she brings together her background in music, dance, food, sustainability, and wellness. Talk about a lot of tools you have. And the coolest thing is you have what's called your work, you call it Soul Excavation. And I just find that so it just was such a grab to me when I heard about Soul Excavation. I wanted to jump right in with you. And I'm going to read a little bit about what that is. Mindful, compassionate, and dynamic work of digging through and unearthing the limiting thoughts, stories, and beliefs that keep us feeling stuck, revealing life's most extraordinary treasure, the infinite creativity, resilience, and love that we truly are. You're just a beautiful, beautiful writer.
Thank you.
And speaking of that, Lesia's just finished her first book called Soul Excavation, the exploration and discovery of self through fear, failure, and quantum physics. And it's going to be published this fall. It's so exciting. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
And lastly, I want to just make sure everyone knows about this because you do these podcasts called Who Do You Think You Are? And it's so enlightening and revealing, and it's just the podcast is amazing. So I really want to encourage everyone to go to your podcast, and you co-host this with your husband Glenn.
That's
so
right.
It's really, if you have a minute and you can go and check it out, because it's really fascinating. So welcome. That was a big long bio.
Thank you.
You have a lot of really fun things rather than just the plain old, oh, she's done this. And, you know, I really love how you've written your bio. So anyway, thank you for coming and welcome. And I just want to jump right in, you know, we're talking about reconnection and in some cases connection, not just reconnection. And this whole body of work that you have of soul excavating, can you talk a little bit about how that relates to connecting and reconnecting?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, before I do, I just want to say thank you for having me as a guest as part of this summit. I was so excited when I got your email to see, you know, what the invitation and to see what the summit was all about, because the idea of reconnecting with who and what we are with each other, just in every sort of way imaginable, is basically what I'm all about, what I think we're all about, even if we don't necessarily know it. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm just so grateful to be here.
Absolutely.
So soul excavation and reconnecting. I mean, for me, like I just said, that's kind of what life is all about. And for me, it's something that I really didn't come to discover sort of actively in a very focused and deliberate way until I embarked very consciously and deliberately on my spiritual journey about 5 years ago. And that spiritual journey has really entailed 5 years of spiritual and consciousness studies. And the book that I just finished writing yesterday.
Yes.
I was texting Treecia as the final chapter was printing. That book is sort of the culmination of my journey so far. And so it is about me revisiting and digging into three main stories of my life with a bunch of little tiny vignettes interwoven, but three main stories of my life that had me living from pain, anger, and fear for most of my life. And not just living from that, but really believing that I was that pain, anger, and fear. So like I was identifying with the shame and the humiliation that, came as a result of living in this pain, anger, and fear. And for most of my life, I didn't even know that that's what was happening.
Right.
And
Right.
so as I delved into spiritual and consciousness studies, as I started to really kind of dig into and unearth and sort of, explore what these beliefs were that had me rooted in pain, anger, and fear, at some point I came to realize, after discovering this is what was going on, that, what? I actually am not these beliefs. I am not these stories. I am not these thoughts that I've been having. I'm not even the experiences or my life that I have lived. I am the thing, the energy, like whatever is behind, underneath, back of it all. That's who and what I am. And so for me, my spiritual consciousness studies and this soul excavation that I ended up sort of going through because of that spiritual journey, that was my reconnection, back to who and what I am. And it wasn't so much, a discovery as it was a rediscovery, because what I've come to learn, what I've come to know, and really just feel with every fiber of my being is that infinite creativity, resilience, and love that we are. It's who we are all along, no matter what. So it doesn't matter if it's been buried. It doesn't matter if we're not aware of it. It doesn't matter if it's like so far into the recesses of this swirling miasma of pain, anger, fear, overwhelm, anxiety, whatever it is that, you feel you're stuck in. It's always, always there. And no matter what's going on, no matter what we think, believe, or feel, that essence of who and what we are never changes. So to be able to dig through all of that, to unearth it all, to explore it, to be able to reconnect, that's the work of soul excavation. And that's just what I find myself immersed in. And that's what I love to support other people, in going through as they begin to rediscover and reconnect with who they truly are.
Nice. Nice. And that's the question, right? Who do you think you are? I mean, when your podcast, right?
Yep, that's the big question. And the key word, I mean, there's a whole chapter in my book that is devoted to the question, who do you think you are? And really, there are so many different ways that that question could be interpreted, so many nuances, to the meaning of that question, depending on which word you put the emphasis on. But in our podcast, and even in the workshops that have come out of that podcast, the key word is think. Who do you think you are? Because the distinction that we end up talking about with so many people, including Maria Namath, who was our most recent podcast guest just last week. And she was the one who really like hit on the distinction between, there's who we think we are and who we really are. And for some people, who we really know ourselves to be, but for some people, not yet, and so who we think we are, those are the thoughts, those are the feelings, those are the beliefs, those are the stories, those are the rules or the labels that we ascribe to ourselves or that other people ascribe to ourselves. Those are the expectations. Those are the things that we answer when someone says, hey, who are you? What do you do? And, I'm a mother, I'm a sister, I'm an employer, I'm a journalist, I'm sad, I'm overweight, I'm 59, I'm, all of those things, maybe sort of labels and aspects that might describe, how we appear, in the world, but who and what we are is infinitely bigger than any of it. And so to get back, to who we truly are, to really know ourselves to be that, rather than to show up in life thinking this is who we are, that's what we talk about in our podcast. That's what we talk about in the workshop. And that's, that's the work of this soul excavation. That's the work of reconnecting, back to who we truly are rather than who we've thought ourselves to be up until now.
Right. And I like the reconnecting because the connection never went away. it's
Right.
always been there is what you're just saying.
Yep.
And so it's not like a first time connection or, first contact with an
Yeah.
alien. It's that, it's there. It's
Yep.
been there. You probably actually had it at some point as a kid. And it is a reconnection because it's existed since before you, since after you, all of those things. So
Yeah. And I think that it's also, I mean, not only have, a lot of us did we have it as kids, but there are sort of glimpses or opportunities that come into our lives, even with other people, never mind experiences, because I truly believe that everything is energy, everyone and everything is energy, and it's all interconnected. There's
yeah,
no anything else that, I am a reflection of you, or a reflection of the trees outside, that even though we're not in the same room together right now and I'm just seeing pixels on a screen, that we are connected because we're one and the same. And so when I meet someone else, that they're a reflection of me, and they may show up in a way that allows me to see myself in a way that I haven't been able to see myself, until that reflection, sort of shows up in my purview. And so that's another way of reconnecting is, these people, these experiences, these opportunities come into our life to really sort of show us, to wake us up, to like, hey, you're so much bigger than anything that you think you might be, and just like jostle and sort of, break apart all of those roles and labels and the facades, to really experiencing and feeling in our bodies, or embodying who we truly are at our core.
I just, it's, it's scary to some people, I think,
Yeah.
but it's so rewarding that
Mhm.
it's hard to explain that to someone, we just they have to have that desire to, to make the jump, to have the leap of faith. And just what one of the things I've been working with lately is an exercise called I don't know.
Mhm.
Like you think you know who you are. Like you're saying, who do you think you are? You think that you know. And like a challenge or an exercise or a practice is to sit in the I don't know. And it's a, what if the shoe that you're looking at isn't really a shoe? What if the shoe that you're looking at that you think is black isn't really black? Just like question, just stop and ask. And what if I don't know? And that whole thing about who do you think you are, we get so entrenched, right, with those stories and beliefs, and
Yep.
the ability to step back and go, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there's a, something different than what I've.
I spent the last year in a class of it was the first one of its kind. It was created by my teacher, Dr. James Mellon from the Global Truth Center, Los Angeles, and it's called Advanced Consciousness Studies, and it's accredited through the Emerson Theological Institute out of California. And so when I walked into this class with 19 other amazing, brilliant, just extraordinary minds and beings and hearts, we all walked into this class with our beliefs, with our beliefs around the science of mind philosophy, which is the one sort of interconnecting thing that had us all in there. There were people who were spiritual practitioners, who were ministers, who had been in the, either science of mind or other new thought teachings, or something that is akin to there's only one thing going on, everyone and everything is that thing, and we create our own reality based on our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, or really how much we identify with that one thing that is the interconnectivity of everyone and everything. So we all came into this class, firmly rooted in our beliefs. And within 5 minutes, that foundation was blown to smithereens for everyone. And for the rest of the year, we lived in this, mystery of the question of, I don't know. Like that's what it was all about. And as we delved into quantum physics, where there's no this or that, It's a very yes and kind of place, and a place of for valued logic where I gotta see if I get this right, where something is either true or it's false, or it could be true or false, or it could be neither, just to kind of put it very simply.
Yeah.
The infinite possibilities, like this is kind of where you just said, I can't remember what word you used, but that it can be terrifying or discombobulating or overwhelming for some people to consider, that where up until now they've been kind of in this neat little box of labels, or this is how my life is because this is who I think I am, to all of a sudden the box being blown to smithereens. There is no box anymore, and you're in this sea of infinite possibilities, completely unmoored and untethered, and like, I don't even know where to begin, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was, for about 3/4 of the year for me, incredibly discombobulating. But I eventually got to the place where it was like, you know what? This is actually kind of cool. Because if I don't have to be bound to what my life was like before, if I don't have to be bound to the labels and the roles that, I have, given myself, or the expectations of those around me, if literally anything is possible, oh my gosh, what am I going to choose? And I mean, that was after 4 years of intensive spiritual consciousness studies. For some people, it had been decades, of spiritual consciousness studies for them. But I think that, when someone is ready,
Mm.
when they are open, then that can be such an exciting place to be, to live in the mystery of the question, to be able to say, I don't know, or as our teacher likes to say, I know nothing. Now what can I know? It's just, it's incredibly liberating. It's incredibly empowering, and it can be incredibly activational, because otherwise, if you don't actually like step into action and start
Yes.
choosing, you're just going to constantly be floating in this like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
But that you have the option, you will not the option. Hopefully it's more than an option, but to take those steps, to actually take that first step. And you still don't know exactly where that's going to lead you.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. I'm kind of in that right now. So I really love it. And it is exciting, like you said, to some degree,
Yeah.
and liberating, and wow. So do you do some workshops, and you have lots of different things going on? What do you do to work with people?
Yeah. So, well, you already mentioned that one of the things that I do is my husband, Glenn, and I co-host a podcast called Who Do You Think You Are? And we endeavor to get 2 episodes out a month. And they are sort of like this, just an organic, spontaneously occurring conversation. Every single one of them starts with us asking at the top of the show, the guest who's there, who do you think you are? And then the answers that we are given are then what sparks the rest of the conversation. And so just having those conversations is an incredible way for us to engage with people and just get people thinking, about who do they think they are? How have they been showing up in their life? And sort of, not just in terms of themselves, but how do they see others in their life, and how do they relate to other people, and sort of what are the labels and the preconceived notions that they might be just like automatically lumping onto someone else because of what they think about themselves. So there's that. There's the workshop that has come out of it. And Ashley, there is another workshop coming up on September 7th. So I'm going to have some information about that coming up in the newsletters that I send out and on my tiny website. But September 7th of this year, there will be another Who Do You Think You Are live, interactive, engaging, activational workshop. And those are always so fun. I mean, I've done several of them by now, and every single time it's different. Even though I tell a little bit of my story, I talk about the podcast, when everybody jumps into the breakout rooms and starts talking about the questions that they're given, and starts, thinking about the rules and the labels and who they think they are versus who they truly are, and then we come back into the big room and share. It is so exciting to see the ahas and the insights and the little nuggets of wisdom that pop up, and that then sort of activate people to go out and really sort of investigate, what are my beliefs? What have I been thinking about now? And are those supporting me in living the best life that I want to live? Or are they keeping me feeling stuck and holding me back in some way? And ultimately, guess what? You get to choose.
Yeah.
So those workshops are fantastic fun. And I'm really looking forward to the next one coming up on September 7th. And then excuse me, excuse me, I have a frog in my throat today. One of my favorite things to do is I call them soul activation sessions, but they are really spiritual practitioner sessions. And those are a one-on-one opportunity to work with me where we sit down for about an hour and the client gets to talk about whatever it is that is going on for them. And then we really focus in on one thing, like get crystal clear on one thing that it is the client would like to change before the end of the session. And at the end of the session, I do what's called a spiritual mind treatment. Another word for that, or another term for that, is affirmative prayer. And it is a very activational tool that spiritual practitioners use to basically shift mindset or move consciousness or move energy. But it's really about shifting the mindset of the practitioner, because the whole time that we're listening to whatever is going on, to whatever is being shared, we're knowing that the person sitting in front of us is infinitely more powerful, creative, and resilient than anything that they're talking about, than anything that they're experiencing, than anything that they're feeling. And the whole purpose of that spiritual mind treatment is to shift the mindset so that whatever is going on kind of drops away, which is not to say that it isn't happening, it doesn't exist, that any kind of pain or fear or whatever, isn't actually, occurring, but it's to take the focus off of that and to shift it onto the infinite power, creativity, and resilience, that is the essence of everyone and everything, and to move forward creating life from that rather than the pain, anger, and fear or disease or disconnect, that the person walked into the session with. So it's, there's a lot of talking, there's a lot of listening, but at the end of that session, that spiritual mind treatment, that is, I don't even know like what word to use, but that is the thing. That is like why people come, and it is just as much an empowering and activational experience for me as it is for the client. And so it's just a total win, 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 win. And yeah, so usually I start by working with people for at least 4 sessions, because even though, people come in with something, usually it's not that thing.
Right, exactly.
And then, every single time someone comes into a session, they're a brand new person, like in that brand new moment. I'm a brand new practitioner. And so it's a brand new experience. And sometimes things, are really easy to let go of, but other times they are so deep rooted and so firmly entrenched and entangled, in whatever thoughts or beliefs. It can take a few sessions. It can take some time, to become untangled and to shift focus from this to this. So yeah, so there's that. And so I love working with people one-on-one, because I just love seeing, that the shift, in the client, to like the eyes open up, the lightening up of the soul, and just like physically see, them change as they realize, oh, just because life has been this way for this long doesn't mean it has to be this way going forward. It's so cool.
It sounds so juicy. So
it is. It is like totally, yeah, super juicy.
Yeah. And, I mean, one of the things that motivated me to do this summit is this whole, the pandemic, the lockdown.
Yeah.
The really, to some degree, challenging or for some people, I guess I should say, challenging situation, and changing perhaps mindsets, right? Things were really different, and people see things already differently, not particularly because of any kind of soul excavation, but that their world was
Yeah.
shifted significantly, and that people are thinking about coming out of this, um, reconnecting to people differently, reconnect
Yep.
to their lives differently. And
Yep.
things like this, like your work, it gives an amazing set of tools for people to work with that. And they hope that many people do work with it in whatever way, not just with you or whomever,
Yep.
and take this amazing, it's actually an opportunity if to change, to have things different, to see things different, to have a different perspective. And um, I just think it's a real opportunity.
Well, how many times has the word pivot been used, in the last year, let's say,
Yeah.
the COVID pivot, someone who had a certain type of business, pre-COVID, that then pivoted into something else.
Yeah.
That I think is just, one sort of indication that illustrates the shift in perspective that we are always capable of. And yes, most of the globe has dealt with or been aware of or involved with, or on some level immersed in the COVID experience. But it hasn't been the same for everyone, and it hasn't been the same, from sort of start to where we are now. I mean,
Right.
I know when I first started, or sorry, when it first started, so I guess it would have been about March of last year, when British Columbia in Canada, which is where I am, that's when our state of emergency began. And at the time I was working in a health food store, and I was working there full time, and I liked my job. I was good at my job, and I really liked being able to support people in making healthier choices in terms of diet, lifestyle, what supplements were good for them to take, that sort of thing. Talking to people about keto diets and plant-based living and gluten-free living and all that kind of stuff. It was great. But then as COVID came down, and there were just, it seemed like every day there was a different mandate, a different protocol. People were coming in with their opinions and judgments. Even the staff, that I was working with, even our employers, like our group of 10-ish people or whatever, everybody was coming in, at a different level of awareness or understanding or acceptance or tolerance or whatever every day. And it would shift throughout the day. And at the beginning, I was like, I'm in spiritual practitioner studies. I'm so bigger and more, creative and powerful and resilient than any of this. I got this. I got to tell you, by the end of March, I felt like a basket case, and trying to navigate all of these opinions, all of these criticisms, these judgments, the emotions. I'm wearing a mask. I refuse to wear a mask. Why aren't you wearing a mask? To, mandates being set down, to people not following them, to, the job that I was doing by the end of March was completely different than the job I had been hired for, 2 years before that. I was now a bouncer, a traffic cop, like checklist, like
Yeah.
have you this kind of thing, enforcer. It's like, this is not what I signed up for, and so it got to the point for me where there was probably about 5 extra hours of meditation and prayer a day. I had to get some extra prayer partners, on my roster. I had to just really continually dig into that tool belt that I had been amassing over the past, 3.5 years of spiritual consciousness studies, just so I could cope with going to work every day. And then eventually it got to the point where I just thought, where do I want to be putting my energy? Do I want to be putting my energy on sort of, battling this and navigating all of these different things that are just seemingly fluid from moment to moment to moment in a way that I really am not enjoying? Or Do I want to put my attention and focus and energy on the work that I want to do in the way that I want to support people? And in the end, that's what ended up being the impetus for me, moving away from that job and starting to focus on spiritual practitioner work and soul excavation, more full time. So, but it took, and then honestly, it felt like it took months for me to decompress and unravel, for my body to actually unclench and realign from all of that stress and trauma, just from those few months of the beginnings of COVID. And then over the last year ish, um, it was like, okay, now I'm putting my energy and focus here. And there was this just shift in perspective, again and again and again, to seeing, okay, I know this is what is going on, I know this is even what I'm feeling, but this is not who and what I am. So let's get back to who and what I am, and let's consciously, mindfully, purposefully create life from who and what I am, rather than from what is going on around me. And so I think a lot of people were able to do that. I think a lot of people weren't. And then I think that, it's been up and down and in and out and on and off, throughout the last year and a half for
Absolutely.
most
Yeah.
people. So to be able to reconnect, like what we're talking about today,
Yeah.
to our inner wisdom, to who we truly are, which also allows us to reconnect to others around us, to life period, to realizing that I'm choosing how I'm creating my reality. And so what am I going to choose? What am I going to create from? Am I going to create from the fear and the anxiety and what's going on around me, or am I going to acknowledge that that's what's going on, but turn inward and reconnect to that inner wisdom and truth of who and what I am, and create from there? Because when we do, because we're all interconnected, then the shift begins to take place everywhere, right? Like, it may not
Yes.
look at it at first, but
Yeah.
as we work on
Radiate.
ourselves, we're also uplifting, and up leveling each other at the same time. So we got to keep
Abs-
doing it.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing what you're talking about. I just want to say out to the audience is that it's not just you, that when you use these tools, when you actually do the work, they can live just like you are explaining. It's not that you're something special. This is,
Yeah.
you are special. Sorry. Same time, it's available. And that's the kind of thing that I'm hoping that these various interviews, tools, tips, strategies, people particularly, um, they're offering, we are all offering to our audience to say, this can be your life. You can make these changes as well. It's
Yeah.
um, something only a select few have the opportunity to do. And um, I hope that comes across in these interviews, that can happen for you too.
Yeah, and because you have such an array of people that you're talking to, and so many amazing, just amazing people that are part of this summit, I would like to think that there is someone there that that at, at least one person that anyone could resonate with, because we're not all for everyone, right?
Right.
The like, we're a buffet and you get to choose what you want from the buffet.
Right.
And just because, and also you may choose someone one time, and it may work out great, but not necessarily. So okay, fine, then you go to
Yeah.
someone else on the buffet, kind of thing. But yeah, like, none of us are the exception.
Right.
We are all the example, if you will. And that's not to like, oh, hey, look at me, kind of thing, but in a way it is, because excuse me, for most of my life, I was stuck in pain, anger, and fear. And there are three main beliefs that I write about in my book: you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you don't have what it takes. Those are the three beliefs that ran my life for, you know, the better part of 5 decades.
Yep.
Okay. And still, even as I was writing that book, even after 5 years of spiritual advanced consciousness studies, even after, you know, really discovering and being firmly rooted in the idea that I am infinitely more powerful, creative, and resilient than anything I could ever think, believe, feel, or experience, those three beliefs would come up.
Yep.
And it would be like, oh, why am I writing this book? You know, no, but it's like, again, you know, like it's about that shift in perspective away from those beliefs to this, you know, the infinitude. Okay. Forget about the whole phrase, but the infinite possibilities. How about that? And everyone is always at opportunity to make that shift. You know, like the tools might be different. There's 20-ish people to choose from, you know, here on this summit to support, you know, people in that shift. But that shift is possible for everyone. And that shift, without kind of like, you know, giving it personal qualities, I really feel like that shift wants to happen. Like, I feel like there are these nudges and urges and creative impulses, and, you know, like you just smacks on the head and whatever. That shift wants to happen. You know, like we're not meant to play this big in this lifetime. We are meant to live our most vibrant, extraordinary, fulfilling, engaging life possible. And, you know, whether that is something that is discovered at 0 or 120 or anywhere in between, you know, even multiple times, just when it happens, like give yourself the opportunity to like go, oh, you know, and listen, you know, listen to those little nudges and those little, you know, whatever, those reminders, because those reminders are coming from that, you know, that place, that inner wisdom, you know, that we can reconnect to anytime, you know, that wants to come out.
It wants to be there for you.
Yeah.
It wants you to be there. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, yeah. Oh, Lesia, this has been so great talking to you. I really appreciate it.
Is it over? Oh my God, I could keep talking to you for hours.
No, I know you and I were talking about this, like, okay, I got to really keep it contained because I'll just keep going and going with you. But I know you have a free offer for our audience. You want to tell them about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So the free offer is, I'm calling it the 7-day mini Who Do You Think You Are challenge. And this is just a little taste of a 30-day challenge that is coming up in September. So basically it is about getting folks to shift, you know, from feeling stuck in the thoughts, beliefs, and feelings, even experiences that, you know, they think is who and what they are, to shifting to, you know, discovering or reconnecting to that inner wisdom, to that infinite resilience, power, and creativity, or that infinite creativity, resilience, and love that they truly are. So there are 3 days of awareness, there are 2 days of understanding, and there are 2 days of realization. And these all correlate with part of how my book is broken down.
Nice. Perfect.
And it's an opportunity for you to become aware of any limiting thoughts, beliefs, and stories that are seemingly running the show. And then, you know, some exercises to get you to sort of, you know, that proverbial smack in the head to like start to shift. And then the opportunity to come up with a new foundational life belief, the belief that is like the mother of all beliefs underneath every single belief that there is, that is the one that keeps you rooted in that infinite power, creativity, and resilience that you truly are, so you can create a life from that, as that, rather than continue creating from those thoughts, beliefs, and stories who you think you are, you know, up until now. So that's the free offer. It's a PDF, and you can get it at www.lesiakohout.com/reconnect. LESIAKOHUT.com/reconnect. And then there will also be an invitation to join the 30-day challenge that is going to happen in September. And there will be an opportunity for another little gift in there. Well, not little, but another gift in there as well that will be available to only a few people. And then otherwise, people can always just go to my website, www.lesiacahoot.com, and they can sign up for my mailing list. They can get in touch with me. And there is the next Who Do You Think You Are workshop that is coming up on September 7th as well, which is open to anyone. It'll be online. And Treecia, you attended one. And so it's fun. It is engaging. It is activational. And I'm so excited for another opportunity to see how people, realize that they are not who they think they are, that they're so much bigger and more powerful than any of it.
Wow, you have a lot going on. That's a lot of stuff coming up. That's awesome. If you didn't catch that, there should be a button underneath that will take you straight to her website, to her gift. So go get it. It's free. She's amazing. So yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate talking with you today, and hopefully we'll talk again, because I just really enjoyed it a lot. And
we are talking again because you're going to be a guest on our podcast soon.
That's true. I know. I'm very excited about that, I have to say. I'm like, oh my God, who do I think I am? Oh,
especially after the summit.
I know. Exactly. Well, thanks again so much, and so much gratitude to you and our audience. Reach out. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you so much, Treecia. And thank you for this opportunity. Thank you to everyone who is making this summit happen. It is an absolute gift and blessing, to the world right now. I'm so grateful to be a part of it. And I am so excited to see, the impact that I know it is already having, even in the recording stages.
Yeah, I know.
The shift that is already occurring just because, you've birthed this into the world. So congratulations to you.
Thank you so much.